Hey, what's going on everyone? Alex here. One of my favorite things to do outside of playing JRPGs and video games is watch wrestling. To me, wrestling is modern theater. A little bit absurd, filled to the brim with tragedy, and a bit of comedy and supernatural thrown in for good measure. Wait a minute, doesn't that already sound like an RPG? It's through that lens that I think that the devs over at Megacat Studios went on to make the recently released WrestleQuest, a game that combines popular wrestling tropes with familiar JRPG-style combat, and a splash of Toy Story and Latino heat for good measure. WrestleQuest follows the journeys of two up-and-coming wrestlers on their quest to become the champions of the toy box wrestling world. As they climb their respective ladders and cross paths, they discover a plot that endangers the very fabric of reality that holds everything in place. After all, you gotta have crazy world-ending disasters in every RPG. Little note, I also review RPGs that don't have world-ending disasters, so if you want to know all about them, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. The fundamentals of wrestling revolve around entertaining the crowd and performing physical feats to hype them up. So naturally, that's what you do in WrestleQuest. You have a hype meter that builds up down below, which is filled up by performing different special moves called gimmicks, with the hype value changing depending on the wrestler's archetype. This determines how much loot you actually get after battle. For example, if the wrestler is more of a support type, anytime they heal themselves or another wrestler, they'll boost the hype meter up significantly. The catch-22 is that each archetype has disadvantages that alter things like the amount of damage you inflict. Thankfully, you can freely change these archetypes out of combat at any time. Also, you'll be happy to know that enemies are on the field in WrestleQuest, with a very light awareness mechanic that lets you skip through some battles if you want to. I always find that in these types of games, that skipping through battles puts you in a bit of a disadvantage if you abuse it too much, so I opted to fight a lot of the time. But wait, I forgot one of the most important parts of wrestling: pinning. Pinning lets you take out enemies from battle permanently, and failure to do so lets them revive with some health intact. But of course, you have to whittle down their health in order to initiate a pin. When you initiate a pin, you have to play a timing minigame that has you counting up to 3 to eliminate your opponent. Given that I'm playing this game on the Switch, I found this timing minigame to be a bit frustrating, as the animation of these moving elements make it difficult to time things thanks to the lower frame rate cap. There are other QTEs in the game that happen when you strike your opponent or retaliate against an opponent after their attack, which also seem to go by pretty fast when compared to other games. Though perhaps the most noticeable thing about playing WrestleQuest on the Switch is the constant loading. You want to go to a new area of the same city? Loading. You want to get into battle? Loading. You want to get to the world map? Loading. And while the actual loading times are relatively short, loading up battle sequences take at least 10 seconds long, this can all add up significantly over time, especially if you're unfamiliar with a city and moving from area to area to find the shop that you need. QTE and loading foibles aside, one of the biggest reasons I play WrestleQuest, outside of the wrestlers making cameos on it, is how it's genuinely one of the best stories told in wrestling games to date. Sure, it doesn't have the depth of the career mode in a WWE 2K game, but somehow, even though these wrestlers are depicted as toys, the kinds of struggles that they all go through, coupled with some entertaining wrestler analogs that not so subtly reference real-life wrestlers, are all super entertaining to watch and get to know. Due to my deep affinity towards wrestling, I really can't separate myself from all the wrestling jargon that's in the game, but terms like stables, another word for parties, gimmicks, special moves, and strikes, attacks, all fit into the RPG structure nicely. That's because the folks over at Megacat Studios have such a deep love, admiration, and passion for wrestling and RPGs that it bleeds through every corner of WrestleQuest, that manages to blend so many wonderful things together into a singular package that is inspiring, funny, and entertaining. The first time Randy Santos prays to Macho Man Randy Savage, the wrestler he's fashioned his persona of Muchacho Man after, was genuinely touching for me. Many of you remember Macho Man from the Slim Jim commercials, but to me, seeing that moment brought me back to a time in the 80s and 90s when I saw Macho Man perform powerful aerial moves, right down to this perfect elbow from the top rope, his finisher, that knocked out his opponents and delivered the pin. But apart from the deep reverence to wrestling and WrestleQuest, is a game that's got a ton of great things going for it. The tag moves that you can do with your party members, the genuinely fun and challenging boss battles, as well as the customization features that let you feel very much involved with the characters in the game, not to mention a karma meter that determines whether you're a face or a heel, show a dedication to the bit that I can greatly appreciate. This is all to say that if you love wrestling, or at least like the idea of playing an RPG with lots of really fun takes on the sport, then you're going to love WrestleQuest. And it's a lengthy adventure too, over 40 hours by my count. And with so many features to customize, charming characters that you'll want to see succeed, and a bonkers story that makes WWE storylines look tame by comparison, and you've got an RPG adventure that you simply must play.